You are listening to Ice Cream for Breakfast with your hosts, Tara Chase and Kevin Hansen. Do you know what that means? Well, there's a great guest lined up. So sit back and enjoy some ice cream.
Did they have a contingency plan in case of an attack or something?
They probably had one. They just didn't tell us about it. So they had...
I would imagine.
There were people close enough to get to you after you've been mauled by a bear.
Jeez.
But they were close. And so, they were on the other side of the lake. They basically posted up another headquarters over there for the crew. And so if something were to happen, they're watching constantly, so they know. And so if a bear came into my camp, I would imagine they'd already start getting close to my camp, just assuming okay, if anything goes bad, we're here.
Mm-hmm. They don't want you to die. It doesn't look good.
Yeah. Not a good way to start season 1.
Yeah, we're live.
Thanks for tuning in today. Our guest is Jake Denison, and we're going to get into Jake's story a little bit here. But I want to tell you how we kind of ran into Jake.
Yeah, want to hear it.
So I was visiting my niece, and she listens to all the shows. She's the one that said I'd sound like a sloth sometimes. Anyway, so she watches a lot of reality shows. And I was visiting her out of town, and she said, "Oh, do you watch Extracted?" And I was like, I think I've seen a commercial for it. And I said, actually, I think my friend, her son-in-law is on the show. And she's like, "Who's that?" And I go, "I think his name's Jake." She's like, "He's our favorite."
Yay, Jake. See, click.
So it kind of started making me think, and we're always looking for a great guest. And so I messaged her, and I messaged your wife. So I knew your wife in high school and your in-laws at that same time. So, but thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're excited.
As we talk about the show, we want to know more about you, just individually. So leading up to that show, kind of what's your little bio? Where are you from? Where were you born? What do you like to do?
Yeah, born and raised here in Boise.
Woo, woo.
Yeah, we moved away for a little bit, but ultimately we had to come back. We got family, all of our families here.
Okay.
So I've got five brothers. Austin, who was on the show, he's unofficially adopted into the family. So he doesn't have the same last name, but he's at all of our family get-togethers, goes to all of our family functions, everything. So we just at this point say our brother. And
so Austin, being on the show that we're about to hear about, is now the adopted fifth brother.
Yeah.
But he's older.
He's actually a grade younger than me.
Oh, okay.
And he's, 10 months younger than me. So,
okay.
And do you mind telling that story, how he kind of became part of?
Yeah. Austin moved into town from Kentucky his freshman year, so my sophomore year in high school. And initially, we didn't even like each other. Initially we didn't. And then because we went to the same church and everything, we got to know each other, and we did some things together. And very quickly we decided, okay, we do. We actually like each other. And so we became best friends, about a month after he moved here. And it just kind of turned out to be my family, very stable, very good situation. And his was kind of rocky towards his senior year. And after that kind of blew up his family life a little bit. My parents, "Hey, come on in. You're already here all the time anyways, so what's the difference?" And so they just invited him in, and kind of morphed into, my friends staying with my family, and I'm down in Utah for college. And the next thing you know, it's like, a family function, another family function. Okay. And then it just became totally normal. There was no transition or, hey, you're now part of the family. It was all of a sudden you're just here.
Just as a natural fit.
Yeah, as a natural fit.
Like it always is supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I like it.
And so our relationship, you think maybe we're, I'd get jealous of him hanging out with my other family members. No, it's like all of a sudden he's going up hunting with a brother, and then now he's going with another brother doing something else. And so it was just like a brother.
Love.
So it was really
cool. It
was a really easy transition, and he just came in, and there was. He played varsity sports as a freshman, 4.0 student, just an excellent person. I mean, even with some turmoil in his life, it didn't even affect him. I didn't even know what was going on, honestly. And then later down the road, I started realizing, oh, okay, this is why you started living with my parents. He just kind of kept it to himself. He didn't really tell anybody what was going on, just moved in.
Sounds like a strong guy.
He is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Resilient.
Resilient, willpower. So
I'm sure there's a lot of buoyancy in that too. But
and he's a lot of fun. That's the thing. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. And that's kind of how we got onto the show, was because of him. So, I mean, more about myself, like I said, born and raised here. I got 4 kids, married to my wife, Kim, coming up on 15 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Kim, if you're listening, we were hoping to meet you tonight. So thanks for letting your husband come.
Yeah. 4 kids. You got kid stuff to do. So that's where she's at.
Well, she's cool.
Yeah, I mean, got a big family, all brothers, no sisters. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic. Sports, outdoors, that was kind of our life growing up. Nothing survival-like, but camping and fishing, hunting, all those things. So, yeah, it's kind of just a fun little lead up into that show. And it's just kind of fun, the whole thing.
And currently your career is with Mountain America.
Yeah. Yeah, so I work for Mountain America as a mortgage loan officer. And that, again, is part of the reason I was chosen as the survivalist on the show. It's because they looked at me and ultimately decided I was the weakest of the 3.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I know how to give you a loan.
Oh, yeah.
So you can build your tent structure or send out an appraiser.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's
you
nothing.
Were the weaker.
Yeah. They basically told me, you're the weakest of the 3.
Wow.
You're the survivalist. Because they wanted it to be an even playing field.
Okay.
If Austin or my other brother Justin went out there, it would have been too easy for them. They just have way better skills than
Wait, are you admitting that you were the weakest link?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. There's no question. No question. And so, that's kind of how it led into it, is they just chose me as the weakest and made it more of an even playing field.
So was that the same with the other families?
A couple of them.
Or were they, because there was some that you knew one of them wouldn't have been a good,
candidate
survivalist.
for there. Mm-hmm.
So they told us initially that we want your average, everyday, normal people that when they go out in the park, they say, I went outdoors today. Like, they really wanted the very just average type person. They didn't want to have specialists or survivalists going out there, because this is amateur survival. And so, like, the shows like Alone, those people they're professionals. Like, they can go out there and survive for months. This is not that show. So they wanted to have just normal people. So that was, again, why I was chosen, is because I was the more normal person on the team.
So can I ask that clarifying question to you both? So the show Alone, I don't know if there's application or criteria, but I saw maybe 1 or 2. I wouldn't even say I saw a whole episode, because I just felt so bad. They were eating birds and bugs. And this one lady was like next to nothing, the size of my pinky finger. And I thought to myself, they're killing them. So I ask you that, like, the criteria, you just said they're survivorists. So they purposely train for that show, or they've always lived like this?
I think it's both.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's probably both. And of course, when you're doing interviews, people lie. I'm sure they lie in those things and say, oh yeah, I've been doing this for years. I love doing this stuff.
I like birds.
Yeah. I like to do all those things. And then they get out there and they quit in the first day.
Yeah, I saw a guy, that was it. I saw a guy that got sick out of, maybe it was a quail. I don't remember, but he got really sick and was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm like, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
You made it.
And I'd say there are people that go out there with a false resume, but I mean, you're willingly walking out into basically torture, self-torture. So if you're going to do it, good for you. But
and how's that? Remind me of how many days that they're out in the wilderness.
So those people on Alone, they go for a couple months sometimes.
About 3 months. I think some of them.
And they don't get to bring any, like, my organic super green drink mix.
Well, they can bring, I think they have a list of 10 items they get to bring, like a tarp and different things. But the ones that I've
Food.
seen that have lasted the longest
Yeah.
create a daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just sleeping in their bed
Yeah.
trying to stay warm all day. They get up and they
Sure.
do their thing. And
They go on a
clean.
jog.
They make this one guy had made like a clothesline, and he was like, it was like a little home for him. And it was just a normal day for him to get up and then do his chores for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Where some of them, like on your show,
Mm-hmm.
there was a couple that just wanted to sleep all day.
Yeah.
Well, I think when your body temperature or your body composition melts away, I don't think you have a lot of energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So then sleeping sounds like a nice warm,
Sure.
maybe not even warm. How
Yeah.
many days do you think I would last?
Well, it depends on how much you enjoyed being out there.
I would enjoy it out there
Yeah.
if I could bring a few extra amenities.
Yeah.
I think a little
Uh,
camper isn't
I
one of
wouldn't
those
bring a
things. you can
camper.
bring.
Yeah.
I grew up tent camping. If my parents are listening, I was a camping girl. I had tents and we had Dutch oven and campfires are my favorite thing. So how long do you think I could last? Just curious. Be honest.
I'm going to
no
say a
one
couple
says
days.
anything.
Couple
2
days.
days,
Couple
48
days.
hours? Okay. Give me a little more.
I honestly think, and I've said this a lot,
Yeah.
if you are from Idaho,
Mm-hmm.
you have a better shot than most people.
Okay.
It's just because you're more,
Climate control.
Yeah.
We are
You-
used to it.
yeah, like we do a lot of outdoor stuff all the time. So
Yeah.
it's more natural for us to
Mhm.
do outdoor stuff. So
Mhm.
for me in Canada,
Mm.
the water was freezing cold for everybody else. And I would sit there and go, this feels like Lucky Peak.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I
You're
was,
like, I'm going in.
yeah, I willingly got in the water to take baths and stuff because it felt good. It was, yeah, I mean, it wasn't that warm outside, but still. it was
Okay,
like
maybe
Lucky Peak.
maybe 72 hours. I think I can make it a week.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
could do a week.
So
I'd only want to do a week.
there's a question that maybe we should answer this later. How long were you actually there? Because it doesn't say like
I know.
day 1, day 2,
Yeah.
day 3.
That
It didn't
was-
It was
ever say
confusing.
that.
That was the number one thing people hated is they could never tell how
Figure
long
out.
we'd been out there. So there were 10 episodes and it was about 2 days per episode. So
Okay.
we were out there for 21 days.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
well, Haley and myself, we were out there for 21
Right.
days. So
Okay, so let's back up because we're skipping forward and we want people to
Right.
hear this part. But do we want to? So mortgage lending. You've been in mortgage lending whole career. Did you marry Kim's from Idaho, or where's she from?
yeah, she's born and raised
Okay.
here in Boise too. She just lived right down the road from me. And I had met her once before, but
Okay.
my memory's shot from all the football hits and everything. So she remembers our first meeting and I don't, not at all. So yeah, we grew up right down the road from each other.
Okay.
Her older brothers went to my high school and
Oh,
she
okay.
just went to the new high school and opened it up. So yeah, we're right down the road. Know a lot of the same people just from that.
Hey, guess what? That's a very common conversation that she went to the new high school. Boise's grown a lot in the
Yeah.
last 20 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily want to explain the show in detail to
Mm-hmm.
people because I feel like they should watch it.
Yes, I do too.
But what made this show different, and maybe why or whose idea was it to be on the show, and then maybe just describe the kind of how the show is made up.
Yeah, the best way I could describe it is if you've read or seen the movie Hunger Games, it's kind of like that because without killing, right?
I was going to say, are parents
without the
killing their
Yeah,
kids?
without the killing. It's you have people playing politics back at headquarters,
Okay.
trying to get their survivalist food, equipment, whatever they can. And then the survivalists are out there just doing the best they can with what they have. And so in that case, it is kind of like Hunger Games in a sense, you know.
And you're anticipating the whole time. What am I going to get today? What might I get when?
Yeah. And so that's the thing is that with like a show like Alone, they take 10 items of their choosing out there. We walked out there with a canteen of water and the clothes on our back. So, and it's a new show, so we had no idea what was going to happen. And so you go out there going, well, I can't do this. I cannot do this on my own. I don't have the tools to do it. So your team is very important, and their understanding and knowledge of surviving is very important. So that's where the strength of my team came from. It wasn't me. I was just a pawn.
Yeah, you already said you were the weakest link.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was my brothers that they were the strength of the team because they were so smart and understood what I needed to survive.
But everyone in headquarters knew you were the one to beat.
Yeah, eventually it started to settle out, and you started to
Right.
see, okay, everyone's just kind of doing their thing. Some people are freaking out real fast, and then others are starting to settle in, and you could tell. There's another guy out there he was a stud. I was blown away watching what he was doing out there. He was smoking meat and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, and it was shocking to see what he could do in a couple days.
And it's in Canada. Is that you guys knew it was going to be up there, or are they moving the show in several locations, or is Canada like the hub of where this all goes because of the politics going up in the main lodge?
Yeah, so season 1, we know
Okay.
they told us about a month before we left, okay, you're going to Canada. So we knew that we were going to Canada. So we had about a month to try to prepare for it. But they also didn't tell us what the show was. So they just said, okay, this is roughly what you'll be doing. And as we had no idea. So they kept asking, what's your game plan? And we kept laughing, going, what game plan? We don't even know what we're doing here. And so, yeah, there was no game plan. It was just, all I did was try to prepare for surviving in general and trying to understand what I could do with general knowledge. So it wasn't
Did you
really,
like go on hikes? Did you put your backpack on? Did you, go slay the turkey?
So
I
the nice part
Yeah.
is that, like, growing up hunting, I had no problem with killing animals or anything if they were going to make us do that. So I was fine with that kind of stuff. It was more, we didn't know if we'd be trapping. We didn't know if we'd be starting fires on our own. We didn't know if we're shelter built. We didn't know anything. So I was just trying to get a general broad sense of what survival is and just running with that. So we really had no clue.
That's crazy.
And
That's awesome.
Was it filmed in the fall?
Yeah.
Last fall?
Yeah, they told us we're going to Canada, and then they kept trying to move the timeline. And so they asked us, hey, we're going to push it till October.
Oh,
And knowing Canada in October,
yeah, cold.
at least my team were like, no, absolutely not. We want to do it in September like we had originally planned because the colder it got, the harder it got. So, yeah, we wanted to get up there as soon as we could.
And what part of Canada was this season 1?
It was around Whistler.
Whistler.
Yeah, so that's where they had the Olympics, like in the early 2000s. And so headquarters was actually based, they built kind of a small town at the Olympic Park up there.
Oh,
And that's where headquarters was.
that's really cool.
And so it's like a few miles north of that is where the lake was that we all were surviving at.
And so they had these little, probably like shipping containers
Yeah, I
that
saw
they
those
turned
cargo.
into the bedrooms
Yep.
for
Yeah, they're shipping containers.
everybody. So the deal was, if you wanted to leave, you couldn't
Right.
unless your family, friends, or whoever was your team
Yep.
extracted you.
And that is that is a strategic part of having your brothers there who could care less if you're crying and whining about things, because they
right.
said it all the time. We don't care. Like, if he's like suffering, we're gonna tough it up. If I went out there with my mom or my wife, I couldn't do that. It'd be a lot
Right,
harder.
right.
So brothers, it's just deal with it.
I think my preparation, if I knew I was going with my sisters, I'd be like, when I start breaking down, you just tell me this and this and this
Yeah.
so that I stay in it. That would be mine.
And that's the hard part, is
The
that
mental game.
there's no communication from my team, really.
There's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, it was a one-way camera. And it
They
was
could hear
live.
him talk,
Yeah, I thought they could hear you.
but they couldn't relay information.
Right.
Except for the episode where they could write a letter.
Yes.
And then they decided.
Oh,
so
you guys. So you
these
are
people,
by yourself, like
they finally
alone.
get to write a letter to their loved one, and then I'm trying to remember what exactly happened. But then they had to each get
Yeah.
rid of, like, they had them hanging on this little line with paper with clothespins, and they could take off different people's, and so 4 people didn't get to send their letter,
Yeah.
and they burned them right there in front of the
Yeah.
What?
show.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't watch this show.
Yeah.
Someone burned your letter?
so that's part of the challenge, is that the teams at headquarters had
Yeah.
to choose. So this is the politics.
Okay.
Whose letter are we going to burn? And so they
That
went
was
one
their
by
job.
one to pull pins. And once the
my-
pins were pulled,
yeah.
it would drop into the fire. And so
How mean.
that actually got one team to leave because they wanted that letter to go out to their survivalists so badly that when theirs got burned, they left. they extracted and pulled him out.
And they
They
were,
must have known because they
that
can
was the
watch
team.
you. They can see you.
Yeah.
so
So
they're
they knew they weren't doing so
so
good.
the families are all sitting in this big room with this big LED
yeah,
wall,
right.
and they're all together,
Yep.
and they can watch. But the wife and the brother
Yeah.
of that guy, they drove me nuts.
Yeah, Ryan W.'s family. This is crazy.
Okay.
It was Ryan W.'s family. He was
Ryan W.
by far, he was number one in my book. When up to the point I was thinking Ryan's he's the toughest competitor. His wife, she has broken world records in swimming. She's an athlete. I mean, crazy athlete. And Ryan, he does all sorts. I mean, they are very capable athletes. And so it just kind of tells you kind of the mind, how it messed with their minds so badly to watch the manipulation and all those things that they pulled him out for it. And he was shocked by it.
Because he probably went in going, "Don't take me out no matter what."
Yeah.
And you could
was
tell he was
thriving.
upset.
Yeah.
And they would say like, "Oh, well, if he knew how upset we were here, he would want us to get him out." And I don't think that's the case.
The thing is, they've done podcasts, they've done other things after, and Ryan will die on the hill that if he knew that stuff was happening, they never would have done the show in the first place.
Oh.
He backs up his wife and brother 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It came across to me like they wimped out.
But
Yeah.
they edit. We don't see the whole thing.
Right.
Right.
Sure. What people don't see though is that
Right.
there is a huge manipulation factor of all this.
Okay.
And so you don't get to see everything. And so people quitting for one way or another, there's a ton of manipulation, whereas like a loan, it's all on you to do it. But you're not seeing manipulation on a loan. And so that's what people were frustrated with, is watching this major manipulation happen. They're forcing people to fight each other, basically.
Right.
And so
And is it mostly I won't say fighting, like the disagreements are happening within home base?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Survivalist, I would say that the survivalist, since we don't really know each other, we have nothing but love for each other because we didn't have to
We hope you can make
manipulate.
it.
Yeah. I mean, there's times that we came together and you'd
'Kay.
hear people going, "Don't quit, keep going, keep going." I mean, Megan and we met at this deer carcass, and she's a vegan. And so she's going, "I don't even know how to do this. And what am I going to do with all this meat?" And I'm like, "I don't know what a vegan does with deer meat, But
They give it to you.
yeah. And so she was starting to get a little bit down. And I just whispered to her, I'm like, "This is one of the greatest things you'll ever do in your life. Do not quit because of deer meat.
Okay.
Eat the deer meat. Just make it last. This is the
Yeah.
greatest experience you'll ever
Have
have.
some
So
jerky.
keep going." Yeah. Like just
Think of it
try to go out
as-
of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Think of it as surviving.
Yeah.
So
Not
how
meat.
different was it living it, but then watching it on because that's got to be
yeah.
a totally different experience because you didn't see all the
Yeah.
politicking going on.
Yep, nothing. I actually, if I were to do it again, put me out as a survivalist, I would never want to do headquarters. I just don't like the manipulation of it, and it's not a straightforward game because there is all that politicking and manipulation. For me, put me back out there. I'll do the survivalist again, but I would not want to do headquarters.
Be in front.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I think that would be, I mean, I have my own opinions about Survivor. I'm like, the real Survivor never wins,
Yeah.
And so something like this, you want them to show your stuff. And like my job as if I was watching my kids or, a family member, then I would wait until they honestly couldn't make it anymore,
Yeah.
like when it's time to bail.
And it's hard to
So-
say though, when is it time to bail? Is someone just having a bad time,
No.
a bad moment, or is it truly
Yeah.
like they're done?
You could
Right.
probably tell a breakdown.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You could see a breakdown.
Yeah, people had breakdowns for sure.
Did they?
So yeah, it got pretty rough.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the menu of all the performances, all the survivorists. I'm like, I wonder how Davina did.
Yeah, I mean,
Wonder how
She-
Anthony was.
some-
Tony.
yeah.
Anthony was the funny. I think he
Yeah.
was there for the publicity of it.
See, the thing is, my brothers loved that family. They loved the parents. They were great. And Austin said, he had a quote in there. He said, "It's just an 18-year-old kid doing 18-year-old
Right.
kid stuff."
Exactly.
And so he had a bad moment, But at 18 years old, it's like, man, you can't prepare for something like this.
Right.
So it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I
He-
think age does matter.
He would come up to the camera. He's like, "Get me out of here!"
Yeah.
And he was like kind of rude to
Those
his
were
parents.
moms
Yeah.
that said
He
no.
was very,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Nope."
Nope.
Yeah.
See you later. Have a good day.
And I think the dad was smart to realize this is going to be on TV. We need to stop this, pull it before it gets too crazy.
Right. And his
or
dad was
come back home and people are
Yeah.
on his shoulders like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm 18.
and his dad was an NFL
Yeah.
quarterback.
He's
Oh,
a
So
yes,
he
that's
was
right.
used to like kind of, doing whatever he can to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think that his son it felt like to me he was there for the publicity of being on
Yeah.
TV.
I mean, I'd imagine the parents going, you got a silver spoon, but we want you to prove yourself. And they
Right.
mentioned that. And it is a hard way to prove yourself on a TV show, where
True.
it's just not natural to go and do the things we did out there. So
I like your perspective on that. Yeah, I think it is different.
So when you would get empty boxes, and this is a question that we had, when you kept getting empty crates, so basically his brothers knew he could do this without getting whatever it was that they were going to send to him, and so that was their way of kind of. But what did you think when you're getting these boxes and you're all excited? Everybody's getting a can of peaches or whatever.
Right
And-
now,
and you
we're
get
going to give you
nothing.
some Kleenex.
yeah. I mean, so initially, the thing is that initially my brothers gave me almost every tool that I needed right at the beginning to be
Okay.
successful.
Okay.
And so that's where the strength of the team came from, is they were smart enough to give me just about everything I needed up front. So when I started getting empty box after empty box, I was still falling back and going, I have everything I need. It'd be nice to get something, but
Yeah.
it's okay. The only time I got frustrated was initially is maybe the third empty crate that I was going, we've sacrificed for other people. We've sacrificed to give them something so they could get helped. Where's the reciprocation?
Reciprocation.
Yeah. Where's that coming? And then I realized it's not coming. And then I started also realizing that's a good thing. That means that we are doing very well and that we have the target on our back. So every empty crate was, I wish I had something, but I just took it as, we're doing great. And everyone knows it. So that's why we're not getting anything. And so my brothers, I'd be talking to them one way. And so we were all on the same page.
Oh my gosh, the analogy that this could be. The analogy. We have every tool we need.
Yeah.
How are we going to use it? And are we using it to our benefit and to our full potential? And sometimes you think you're getting a closed door, empty crate. Well, you have everything you need.
Yeah.
Use what you have until another door opens.
Sure.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's just a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
And when you have something that you don't think you can use, but everyone around you realizes you could use it. I can't think of his name. He got the steak.
Woody.
And
Yep.
he didn't have a fire. And he didn't have any way to cook it. And he goes, this is of no value. So he takes it out to the lake and throws this steak out into the water. And I mean, I would have eaten it raw,
Sure.
because
Or you get your two sticks together and start blowing.
He tried doing that,
Yeah.
and he could not do the little.
I mean, there's no way I would have.
I don't think I would have eaten
that's
it
impossible.
raw
That is so
because
hard.
that's like steak
Well,
tartare.
And I think that's what your brother said. It
Yeah.
is like steak tartare.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you sear a steak on each side, and then it's rare in the middle.
I mean,
kinda
but
what it is.
really, if it came from the cargo box sometime the night before, then you receive it. I don't know. I think I might not have thrown it to the river. I might have licked it a few times or
Yeah.
something to get some iron, but
I mean, everyone says there's no way I would have done it.
I couldn't have.
But put yourself in the
I
mind
know.
frame of where he was.
Correct.
He just lost his fire starter. That was a
Yeah.
huge deal. His fire was
So
kind of
he
that.
did have it.
That was like his most important tool. And so when he loses it, he's frustrated. And then he has to build a fire with a bow drill, which I don't think anyone could have done it because bow drill is not easy. I mean, they gave us a second of training on it, and there's no way I could have done it either. I've never done it.
Wait, did they show that part? Like to train on those things? They didn't show the trainings.
No,
Okay.
that was all before the show. They did some very quick survival training. So
Got it.
So I look at it and go, no,
I would have been like
thrown it
lint
in.
out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you could have cut it.
Or the toilet paper. There was,
Sure.
some of them got a roll of toilet paper in their little
Oh,
box.
in their crate.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah, we'll let people watch the show to see
Yeah.
the
And-
stake in the water.
And I think there was the girls that won.
Mm-hmm.
They had done something to somebody, and it really infuriated whoever they'd taken something away from.
Yeah.
But then later on, they had that same thing done, and they were just beside
Yeah.
themselves
Yep.
that someone would do that to them. I'm like, you just did that a couple episodes to somebody else.
Yeah. It's a very
Catty.
weird. Yeah. Well, it's a very weird psychological experiment almost, where you do the exact same thing to someone else, and then you get mad about them doing it back to you. If you step back and go, this is a game. I mean, if this was a board game at home, you don't care. You know, you're gonna just step on people's throats. You're gonna do whatever you can to win. It's just a game. This is just a game, and people forgot that. And so when you lose something, your first thought is, why are you screwing us like this? Like, what are you doing? It's
Yeah.
like, no,
Right.
it's a game. We have to do this. We're being forced to do these things. It is what it is. So,
And when you and the other guy were racing in the water,
oh, Ryan, yeah.
and I heard a horn,
Yeah.
and he hadn't taken his pants off, and Jake jumps in and just blows off there like he's an Olympic swimmer, and the family was like, what is he doing? Why did he?
Yeah.
They felt like you started too early. I didn't see it that way.
Yeah, and that was an edit. So what happened was the girls went first. They let him get totally undressed, got ready, and then, okay, horn goes. So they were completely prepared. So we get up there thinking the same thing. Ryan and I are taking our stuff off. We're kind of chatting and, you know, just talking. And all of a sudden the horn blows. And we both look over, you know, deer in the headlights, like, was that
Is that
the
our
horn?
race? Yeah.
Yeah, and so we didn't even move. We just kind of sat there, and then all of a sudden, someone out of the woods just yells "Go!" And then they cut in for the show, and you see us panicking to get our stuff off and go. And so I just happened to be able to get my stuff off faster
Quicker.
than him, and get in the water and go.
You would have still beat him, even
Yeah.
because he struggled in the water before that. You know.
Yeah, from the raft challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, the nice thing is that Ryan's parents, they were his dad was very upset about it, rightfully so. It was kind of unfair. Not that one or the other cheated necessarily. It's just that they hosed him, right? He wasn't ready. So the producers actually came back after the challenge was done and gave Ryan the choice to do it again with us both starting over. And my hands, when I got done,
yeah,
I was
it
shaking,
blew.
not because I was cold. I had no energy, and I had put everything into that swim.
Yeah.
And so I was well ready to do whatever he said. Ryan thinks about it for a second, goes, you know what? Jake he'll beat me again if we do this. And if we do it again, I don't know if I can make it through another swim. So he chose not to do it again after the fact. And I was so grateful because I was telling him, I'm like, thank you. And I couldn't sing enough praises of the guy because I was going, man, if you made us do it again, whether I beat him or not, we would have lost so much energy just
Yeah.
doing it.
Sure.
So,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, that is making me cold and miserable.
And you were going to last a week. But
I was
anyway,
gonna last a week, you guys. Okay, I will admit, if I had to do a swim, it wouldn't look
it was
good.
48 degrees.
I mean,
think
it's not
that's what
the
I-
it's not the
46, yeah.
temp. I'm just not a strong swimmer for some reason. I did do a triathlon once just so I could prove to myself I could swim. It doesn't matter. I just somehow sink. It's not enjoyable for me to swim, but I'll do it. And then I'm like, how do people do it so fast and so casually and so calm? And there's me like, get me out.
Well, that was brought up before we
Yeah.
started swimming. We're all meeting as survivalists talking about it, and they're going around saying, hey, are you a good swimmer? And I looked at them like, I know how to swim. I guess that's the best I can tell you. I get done, and they're like, you're an Olympic swimmer. I'm like, are you kidding? I just know how to swim. I didn't know that meant like one thing or another. I just know how to swim.
Did you do like the breaststroke? Did you do a backstroke? I
No.
do backstroke better.
Yeah, I just got out there and swam, and then
Just
they came.
made
They're
it
like,
there.
you didn't tell us you were a good swimmer. I didn't realize I was, according to you guys. So I just swam. I don't
Now he's gonna get recruited back on the show.
Yeah, well, then my brother Austin, he goes, yeah, well, he was a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard at Roaring Springs when I was 14 years old, kicking people down slides.
Go.
Yeah.
Next.
So
go.
it was the biggest joke, and everyone's like, oh, he's a lifeguard. We wish we would have known that. I push people
Come
down
on,
slides.
you knew.
Yeah.
Me and Roaring Springs.
Yeah, it was funny.
So I'm curious about the kind of the relationship of the different survivalists. How far away were you from each other?
Yeah.
And were you ever told you were not to go try to find them or to share with them or to do anything with them?
Another thing, a lot of rules that people didn't know, and that was one of them. I estimated our survival territories were about 200 yards long. And so we are all around the lake, and we had these white strings that would show the end of our territory. And so they told us, if you walk up to another survivalist, you don't say hi, you don't even wave at them, you just turn and walk in the other direction. So it happened one time, just saw someone turn around and walk the other way, but
Here's
we
where
just
I
couldn't
get
leave.
kicked off and all. Hi.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You after like
Try and be
two
nice.
weeks of it, you're going, oh, a human being.
Yeah.
And you want to say hi or something, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to turn around and walk the other way. So
I feel like I could see them 200 yards away.
it was so dense.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
so
so
you're in that
dense.
tropic.
Yeah.
Like,
So I called it the highway. There was just a trail that went around the entire lake, and I paced that trail because I got bored. So people would sit and sleep. I didn't take a single nap because I was so bored sometimes.
yeah.
And my mind was just running constantly. So I would just like chores. I did all my chores every day. And then when I got bored, I would pace. And I just pace back and forth. And I'd walk at a snail's pace. But I was just trying to keep my mind busy. I mean, maybe it's ADD or something. I don't know. But I just had to keep doing something.
Do they let you write? Like, could you journal?
Nope.
You couldn't journal?
No journals.
But you could talk. I mean,
Yeah.
you could journal
Yeah.
talk or...
They kind of wanted you to just talk.
Yeah.
And so they could get the content. You'd
Yeah.
be talking to your team, which we didn't realize for the first maybe week and a half that the other teams could listen too.
Oh.
And so that started biting us in the butt.
You
and
mean
that's
the
when we
other
realized-
family
Yeah,
members
yeah.
back at headquarters,
Yeah.
not the other survivalists.
Right. So you could tune into the other teams anytime you wanted to, and you could listen in on what they're saying.
To their survivors, not to you.
So if I was talking to my brothers, all the other teams could tune in and listen and hear what I was saying.
So I think there was a time you said, "Oh, we got this," or we're
Oh,
doing well.
doing well.
And so then the rest of the people, they were like, oh, "Okay, well, he doesn't need anything because he's doing so well." And
Yeah. So, and that's the funny part is you go,
I don't like that.
yeah. And so that's the part where I realized that there's no going back. They're not going to help us.
Right.
And because we're like 6 empty crates in. So I'm now just going, okay, fine. I'm going to own it.
You're like, I'm going to
Yeah.
win this.
So I'm gonna
not
win
getting
this.
any crate.
Yeah. And so I wasn't necessarily bragging. I was just saying, this is the state of things. We are killing it, obviously, because I kept winning challenge after challenge.
Right.
And so now it was me going, now I'm going to try to break you guys and make you understand that you can't beat me. And so I was just now pushing my
I like it.
confidence and just
like
saying, you
my
can't break me.
mindset.
So keep doing whatever you're doing. It's not gonna help.
So
Right.
you would say that they could hear you, but you're not really having a two-way conversation.
No,
You're
no.
just pretending that you're talking to them.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Hey, I know you're all listening.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? I'm going to sing to you now.
Yeah. I had a hard time talking to the camera. It took me maybe 3 or 4 days to get used to it. And I did get a letter from my brothers on day like 5.
Okay.
And they were going, you are talking the least, and we have no idea what you want, what you need.
Oh.
And I kind of laughed to the camera. I'm like, you know exactly what I need and what I want. If I'm not complaining about something, it means I don't need anything. And so our communication was always in sync because if I wasn't telling them anything, they knew what I needed or didn't need. So if I'd say, hey guys, I need this. So if you can get it, let's make that the priority. And then 3 days later, I might get that. So yeah, our communication was just excellent. It just helped out.
Or the directness of your communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very direct. I might not get it today, but I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah.
I might get it in 3 days, 4 days. Yeah.
I did get frustrated a couple times, and I
Sure.
did go on a rant once where I was saying, I was almost kind of making fun of the format of the show, going, so I'm being voted as the strongest, and so what? The whole show is going to be the mob coming after the one person until that person finally bows out.
Yep.
And I go, when is it going to change where the dynamic goes from it's like the mob against us to now we have the power and we can go back. And I said, if you guys are expecting me to sit here and cry and whine and complain, I'm not going to. I refuse. You just know that I'm like everybody else. I need help. I'm just doing more with what I have than what everybody else is. And so
And
I
you're
still
guessing
need help.
at that point.
Yeah.
Except if you run into Megan and she's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the guy tossing steak in the water.
I assumed that people were doing worse than me
Worse,
if I'm
okay.
getting empty crate after empty crate. So it was just me going, I don't care. If you guys are going to keep playing this game, you're not going to break us. And so we're just going to keep pushing.
So really you're fighting the producers at that point.
At a point, because they are manipulating
Correct.
each trial that's coming up
Correct.
and how that trial is completed. So they very easily could have said, okay, this next trial, you guys have voted against Jake numerous times. Now they have the power and they get to do it. They never did that. I had to win trials to get anything after my 9 empty crates. So my brothers didn't get me anything for 9 crates.
That is grit.
Yeah.
That's some
So it
serious
just-
tenacity.
Yeah. It's just a mindset.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me, like right toward the end when they said, I think there was 6 competitors left.
Was one out every day or one every 3 days?
the
Because you did 2 days. Wait, what was the dynamic of the, because we didn't see, I only watched some clips, but
Sure.
I didn't know how many days you were in. So you said there was 2 days filmed every
Yeah.
one day.
It was about every episode was about 2 days.
Okay. Every episode, 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it took a few days for someone to leave.
Anthony left. We
Pretty
got
quick.
dropped off, so 24 hours later he bounced out of there.
Oh, so it
Yeah.
makes it look a lot longer than that.
Yeah, he was gone
there.
the next day.
Okay.
So the other thing too is that there were actually 12 teams were on the show. There were actually 14 teams when
Oh.
we started,
Oh.
and because of how quickly those first 2 teams went out, they just cut them out. And so they were there. They
Then
got
they're
cut
like, we're
out
just
fast.
going to stick
Yeah.
on 12.
There
Okay.
one team they dropped out 3 hours into it.
Oh, wow.
And he kept saying, "Oh, I'm hearing stuff in the background.
Right.
Pull me."
That's
And
the
it was
ultimate
done.
alone show.
Yeah.
Is that guy that's like, I'm here to kick British Columbia's butt. And then like they hear a bear and they're like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
They call, get me out of
If
here.
I heard a
Yeah.
bear, I'd be saying that too, I think. Unless I'm like, I actually slept in a tent, just so you both know, and there really was a bear right outside of my tent. I thought I was toast at
Yeah.
the age of 23.
And that's scary,
It was,
especially at night.
I could hear my heart. Like I've heard my heartbeat before, but I could hear it, and I was sure that bear was hearing it too.
Did they
Yeah.
have a contingency
I
plan
froze.
in case of an attack or something?
They probably had one. They just didn't tell us about it. So they had.
I would imagine.
There were people close enough to
cameras.
get to you after you've been mauled by a bear, but they were
Jeez.
close, and so they were on the other side of the lake. They basically posted up another headquarters over there for the crew. And so if something were to happen, they're watching constantly. So they know. And so if like a bear came into my camp, I would imagine they'd already start getting close to my camp, just assuming like, okay, if anything goes bad, we're here.
They don't want you to die. It doesn't look good.
Yeah. Not a good way to start season 1 if someone dies.
That's
on
why
you,
you
right?
can't eat raw steak, because the bears.
And the bears, that was the least of my worries.
Oh, okay.
I didn't worry about the bears because black bears by nature aren't really aggressive.
Aggressive.
And
True.
so I wasn't worried about that. I am afraid of wolves though. Wolves freak me out, and the
And
producers.
moose.
Well, if I saw a moose in there, I'd be climbing a tree if
Yeah.
I could get
And
away
Bigfoot.
from it.
Right.
And Bigfoot.
And Bigfoot. We've
Yeah.
had an episode
Right.
with our Bigfoot.
Yeah, Austin claims to be like the 4th leading expert in the world on Bigfoot.
We probably need to invite
We need to have
him.
Austin on the
you-
show.
you-
We
would
have
love
the son of the father who teaches at ISU, and he's followed
Oh, yeah.
Bigfoot for
Dr. Meldrum.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had his son on.
yeah
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
See,
We had Sean.
Yeah, Austin's just a little bit more eccentric, so he'd
We
be
should
fun to
have
have on here.
Austin.
We need to
But,
have him on.
Yeah, you'd love having Austin.
Austin, if you're listening, we're gonna grab you.
You got to catch him. Him and his
'Kay.
family are leaving the country for the next like 3 or 4 months. So
Okay, but summer we could
Yeah.
do it after they're back
yeah,
if our schedule's full.
So during the day, could you go hunt?
No, we
They
could
didn't
not,
allow
we
you
could
to-
not leave our territories.
Oh, because they're watching you.
But you could, anything within your boundary, you
200
could.
yards.
No, so in your survival territory, you couldn't hunt. You couldn't do anything outside of. You could ask them to go to the hunting zone, but you had to go to a hunting zone, and that hunting zone was not great. So when they made us, we did a hunting challenge, and they sent 2 people ahead of me at the same time to go through. If you've done any kind of bird hunting or anything, they busted the whole area, and so there's probably nothing left.
Right.
So when I got in there,
True.
I basically jogged through the entire area looking for movement and didn't see a single thing.
Because you had a slingshot.
I had a
if remember
slingshot, and I saw Haley come out with she had a
Shovel.
right. A spear.
spear. She had a spear, and I laughed. I just
Like
loud,
she was
loud
going to get
laughed.
fish?
Well, like, what are you going to hit with a spear out in these
Nothing.
woods? Nothing.
Yeah.
You're
Like,
going to be Rambo and
But
be up
how
in a
did she
tree
get
and
the
jump
spear?
on an old hog.
so
Was that in her
it was
crate?
It was part of a challenge. The teams picked our weapons.
Oh,
And so
okay. I didn't
right
know
when
that.
my brothers walked in, they looked at it, they laughed at the spear, and they got me a slingshot immediately because
Yeah, you
what
could
do
hit
The
a
bow
bird.
and arrows were all gone.
yeah. So and the bow and arrow, like, yeah, that probably would have been easy, but the slingshot is like the easiest thing to use.
Right.
And so I saw that spear and I just laughed because I was like, what are you going to do with it?
Could you not get fish? Like there was water.
The rules in Canada, you can't spear fish. So
Oh,
and-
even
and-
in the show, huh?
yeah, not even in the
Okay.
show. They didn't let us do any trapping.
Mm.
That was against Canadian rules and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff they didn't let us do. Fires was another one. People kept saying, like, why don't you just keep a fire going? Well, we couldn't. We had to put them out. Every time we left our camp, we had to put them out. You go to bed, you put it out. You can't have a fire just running.
That was my question. Why,
Yeah.
if you don't have enough, if you're having a hard time creating one, why don't
Yeah.
you just build a big one?
Right. And just keep
So-
running.
Patrols going.
Yeah, you can't
Is that
do it.
why the show was still, they went ahead and stayed with the September day?
Yeah, there's a fire ban in
Right.
Canada, and we actually stayed. We were supposed to stay in a hotel for about 5 days and then go out. We ended up staying in the hotel for 13 days because of the fire ban, and they finally lifted it. And it was all right. Let's go.
So you were there for quite a while.
Yeah, it was 5 weeks that we were in Canada, but 3 weeks actually doing the show.
I wonder if these are all things to try to shorten the show down. Because if you could create a fire and leave it going all night, and then you don't, so you're basically making everyone start over.
Yeah, yeah.
Every
time.
day is a new day.
Yeah.
Right. And if you had luck and you started a fire on Tuesday, maybe you're not going to do that on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean it's not easy.
Well, I'm sure there were
doing that.
people that didn't have fires.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some people
at all.
never made fires.
Right.
And that was a huge problem for them.
To stay warm or any of it.
Both.
Yeah.
Stay warm.
Because it's
boil
so
water.
cold at night. Yeah.
Because there was somebody that just drank water out of the lake.
Yeah, Woody did that. Like,
didn't boil it.
and that was my only real thing that I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to do anything that got me medically extracted, because they would medically extract you if they needed to. So I wasn't going to do anything that was like fringe dumb. So I
You
was
mean
gonna,
like the raw steak?
see, the raw steak? I would have eaten that no problem. If I had it, I would have eaten that raw steak and not thought twice.
Yeah, but you would have been medically extracted.
Maybe.
I'm gonna take you to dinner sometime, and I'm gonna order like rare steak.
Hey, like I will have a sushi roll with some tuna and some raw fish, but I'm not a fan of raw meat.
You know, I wouldn't say I'm a fan either.
Right.
But in that situation, I would have.
I
Right.
probably would. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't say what I would do, but I tell you right now I wouldn't. But yeah, like I wouldn't eat a bird.
Oh, I would have eaten a bird, no problem.
Maybe if it was a turkey.
Yeah, you need to see the episode on the deer carcass, because
Yeah.
they had a dead deer that we had to cut up.
They had it for you though.
Yeah,
Like
but
they
I
brought
mean,
it in.
But it was dead, and it was a full deer. The only thing they did was they gutted it, and so they took out some of the entrails and things. But we got up there, and you're carving up a deer, and people have never done that before. So I walked up to him going, I've done this plenty of times, so this is another
You
advantage of mine.
don't tell them what pieces and parts to eat.
Yeah, Megan was asking. She's like, I went right for the back straps. Immediately took one of the best pieces of meat, and she's like, "Is that the best?" And I kind of fibbed, and I was like, "I don't know," because I didn't want her to have it. I really wanted it. And then
They're playing a game.
Yeah, and then I reached in and grabbed that heart. I'd never eaten a deer heart before, but my brothers had told me for years it's the best. You got to try it. So I'm thinking, man, maybe this is a joke. Maybe they're playing a joke on me. I'm about to eat this heart, and I'm going to look like an idiot. But it was the best meat I've ever had on a deer. It was great. It's so good.
And you
I'm going to call you
and I
Deerheart,
cooked
not Braveheart. Deerheart.
Deer heart. Yeah.
Deerheart.
It's in a movie. There's some where they take the
Yeah.
heart and they give it to somebody.
Last of the Mohicans.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, you guys are so barbaric.
Yeah. Well,
I was thinking Deerheart.
Yeah, I know.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's what I thought of. Last of the Mohicans as I was holding it up. I was thinking,
You thought that when you were
Yeah.
eating it?
Because they,
When
take
I
a-
am.
'cause they take a bite and then
I
you
hope they
hand
have
it.
Do they have that on camera? I want to go and see that part.
They didn't. Because I held it out just for the camera to see it, and they didn't show it. So
They didn't want to
they
like
didn't
say,
want to show it.
be careful, this part might be restricted.
Yeah.
Don't watch with your naked eyes.
Yeah.
Did you have camera people following you to the lake?
For the trials.
stuff?
Yeah, for the trials, yes. But in my camp, we had stationed cameras, and then anytime a cameraman would show up, I figured that was because we were about to do a trial or something was coming
Yeah.
up. So that's the only time they'd show up, is for that or a trial. So I had a cameraman following me through all my trials, and that poor guy, I'd turn around and he'd be on his back like a turtle because he had this big rig on him, holding the camera and stuff, and he'd have to try to keep up through all the brush and low hanging limbs and things, and he'd just fall all the time.
Oh,
so
man.
I'd pause, act like I'm looking at a map or a compass, just to wait for him to get back up and get behind me again, and then we'd keep going. No one ever told us what to do. I just didn't want to make the guy's job harder than it actually had to be.
Here he is, a survivorist, and he's
Yeah.
like, let me help you.
Yeah, well,
That's awesome. He's going back to the warm tent,
but
warm cargo.
I got so bored one day.
Yeah.
My cameraman had to go through this just nasty underbrush to get to his camera station. So I got so bored one day, I took my hatchet and cut him a path. And the path was like,
So sweet.
it was seriously like 50 feet long, and I made it just big enough that he could walk through it. But I cut everything down, and then I just sat there and waited for him. And he walks up, and you could see him kind of like, what just happened? I just absolutely leveled the forest so he could get up to his spot.
Oh.
Were you allowed to talk to him?
I could talk to anybody, but they wouldn't talk back. So I could talk to him, and it'd be like talking to a tree.
Like you could have said, hey, I just cleared this path for
Yeah.
you.
I could have done that, but I mean, who else would have cleared it for him? So I figured
He
he just
knew.
realized
You're
it.
so. I would have been like, hey, yeah, that was me. Go tell my brothers to send me some peaches.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That is funny. Okay, so we have some questions
okay.
from your fans. You didn't know you had fan mail
No,
when you
no.
showed up here. Battery recharging. Did they leave them in a certain spot that you would have to upload or leave your cards or something for them?
Yeah. So every morning they'd show up, and we had these. They're like almost like gun cases, just big cases full of equipment and stuff. And so, yeah, that's exactly right. And
Did you get that on camera?
Yeah, it's probably exactly like that.
Yeah. Harbor Freight,
yeah.
$59.95.
There you go. There's your little plug. Yeah. And so every morning we'd have to switch out our mic packs, battery packs, all these things. And so, yeah, we did that every day. So the crew was always coming in and just changing those things out. They would never talk to us. They just change it out and leave.
Did you
Because
get
that was to keep the cameras running and keep you
Yeah.
in
Yep. Keep our
focus.
microphones on, and yeah.
Did you ever have a medic just come test you, or was it all based on the stuff you were wearing that they were monitoring it?
So
Headquarters.
they gave us these Garmin watches, and so they were tracking all of our vitals and everything. But at one point, the medic showed up for everybody just to make sure we were doing okay. And my guy came in, asked me a whole bunch of questions, and he's like, "Okay, you're good."
It's called insurance.
Yeah, yeah.
We checked our
Yeah,
audience.
I saw that Sylvester Stallone was one of the executive producers. I'm guessing he didn't go to British Columbia.
When we figured it out, because Austin, he went deep dive on who was producing it. So he found out it was Stallone, and so we were all going, maybe he's the host. And how cool
Oh,
would that
yeah,
be?
that'd be
So
awesome.
they actually took Austin wore a shirt that had Stallone on it, just waiting for him to show up in hopes that he would. Never met him.
Okay.
Wasn't a part of it at all. Just
He has
produced
he has
it.
the bank.
Yeah.
He's the banking.
Yep, the bank.
But he is there is the scene in Rambo where he's up in the tree with the spear.
Yep.
And he jumps down on a wild boar and then eats it in the cave.
And
Yum.
So maybe that was where it came from.
Oh
and
yeah,
that-
maybe it was.
That's when I saw Haley with the spear. That's exactly the scene I thought of. Was like when we got Rambo jumping out of a tree trying to kill a
She's
boar.
gonna
Yeah.
get the deer.
Yeah.
She got the deer for you all.
Okay, so we have a question here, and this is from somebody who said they thought you were going to win it all, and they were rooting for you. Your team at headquarters was great. They were one of the few teams that actually played the game to win and not to just be nice. They were always nice.
Yeah.
But they understood that it was, if you let the other people have too much stuff, you're there to win.
Sure.
So they wanted to say that, but and we did talk about how you felt about getting all the empty crates. So she asked, why did you pick the salmon to eat when you were catching all of the fish?
I mean, that's
Because there was a
great
pasta
question.
and a meatball option
there was
too.
a huge list of things that I could have gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I narrowed it down between a steak dinner or the salmon. And I spoke out loud to my brothers, so I was trying to make them understand what I was thinking. I wanted the steak dinner, but then I was thinking about calories. And I was thinking of my diet at the time, and I was eating fish and berries. And then, I had a couple cans of peaches. So all the sugary items I just wasn't going to do, because they had like birthday cake, donuts. They had all these different things, and I was like, that could wreck me. Like that could be a problem. And then I was thinking of a salmon. You're going, a salmon can be pretty dang big, and I wasn't sure if it was a fillet or the whole thing. But I was thinking this salmon is probably going to give me way more than a steak dinner. And then when that salmon came in, I was like, yeah, I made the right choice. I love eating fish, so fish to me is like great.
Seafood is awesome.
I could eat it all day, every day. Totally survive off seafood. So when I had the chance for the salmon, I thought most calories, it's probably the best nutrient efficient kind of thing.
You got your omega-3s. You're like thinking, I got some backup if I need it. And this was day what?
Oh, it was
A
Middle?
little bit later into
Yeah,
it.
it was closer
12,
to the end.
13 to the end.
It was probably around 16
Okay.
days maybe. So yeah, I got that thinking, if it's a true salmon, an actual full salmon, it's going to be huge. And it was.
And it was, yeah.
massive. So
It came on a drone hanging off.
What was the steak size?
well,
Like the palm of my hand.
see, I was thinking maybe an 8-ounce steak.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how big it was going to be.
Yeah.
And so maybe they would give you like mashed potatoes, maybe vegetables. I don't know, because it said steak dinner. But I was just thinking salmon. I love salmon. I love fish. Give me the salmon.
Yeah, it tastes bud choice, but the birthday cake, yeah, could you've gotten a dessert?
Yeah. So your first thought is that would be awesome.
Yeah, the taste.
But immediately I was going,
I'll be sick.
yeah, it'll make me sick.
Yeah.
Or like ice cream.
Or ice cream.
You would have taken ice cream.
Ice cream was on the list.
Ice cream for
Yeah.
extraction.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow. You're
Yeah.
like, I would have taken ice cream.
Speaking of that, I got a funny thing I want to do with that. And then we'll talk about it later.
I'm all okay.
So another question: what was the hardest thing for you, and what was the most rewarding thing?
this is a hard question. The hardest thing for me, I enjoyed the whole thing.
Did you?
I have a
Cool.
hard time pinpointing what was really hard for me, because I enjoyed everything. Everything I did, I kept saying it's like summer camp for adults. This is everything you wanted to do as a kid. Now you get to do it on a TV show. I just have a hard time saying what was so hard for me, because I felt like I was eating really well. I had plenty of water. I just was taking care of myself so well that I just didn't have anything that was so hard. And now that I'm actually thinking, the hardest thing was the exile. That's what it was. The hardest thing was the exile, because it was, you're starting over from scratch. And at the time, I thought it was only me. I didn't realize the other survivalists were being exiled too and starting over. So my initial thought was, okay, this is the breaking point in the game where the mob has finally come after me, and I am on my own doing the hardest thing that you could ask of someone, is starting over completely. That mentally was the hardest part, where I paused for about 2 minutes. I'm like, this is it. Like, I don't know how you survive this. And then right after that, I started thinking, well, if it's just me, this will be hard, but I have tons of food, so I'll eat all my food, or drink all my water, and try to outlast everybody. There's no way they can just say, you're done.
You're done.
And you're done, and we're just going to leave you be until you finally pull out. So I started thinking, okay, there's a light at the end of this, and then I realized it wasn't just me, because I saw their survivalist walking with their stuff, and I'm like, okay, now this is easy, because it's not just me. And if I'm doing so well and they're struggling, we're on an equal playing field, but we're not, because I was doing so well at the time. So the exile was definitely the most difficult challenge that happened while I was out there being exiled.
And how long did it last?
It was that I think they kind of pushed it, because we got exiled and the very next day was the finale. So they exiled us, and I think if they would have waited another day or two, we might have lost 2 more teams at least, because that was difficult. People were struggling right after that. So I think they realized, okay, this is a little too difficult, so we've got to end this thing. We got to have the finale.
Yeah.
I think that now that you're saying all this, I think that they really put some limitations trying to get people to leave. The fact that you couldn't go hunt, but you fished.
Yeah, I could fish. That I didn't have to leave my area for that. But the hunting, I requested 3 or 4 times to go hunting, and they never allowed me to do it, because winning that, if I would have killed something, I would have won that challenge, and that challenge lasted for the whole time. So whoever killed the first animal would get a supply drop, and I realized that a couple days after that
you
failed
requested
trial.
it.
So I kept requesting it, and they never let me go back. And so I started thinking, they don't want me to go back, because if I do kill something and get something else, it just solidifies that here's another crate for him. Like, he doesn't need it, but he just won another challenge. So I was starting to think maybe they don't want me to go back and win that challenge.
It was kind of funny because he's catching fish, and it just showed the one day, I think, that you have 4 fish.
Yeah.
You probably had fish most of the days, I would imagine. But then it would cut to the other guy, and he's like, man, there's like no fish in this whole lake.
Yeah.
And he's like, I think we ought to call this, there's no fish in this lake, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And then it shows Jake just like reeling in fish one after another.
Jake's all me and my fish.
Yeah. I love fishing. And so one of the things that I love the most about it, or my biggest accomplishment, was there were 12 fish caught at that lake, and I caught 11 of them. So Megan was the only other one that caught a fish, and I just loved it. I didn't realize it, and I didn't understand that people weren't fishing until we did the swim trial, and everyone's going, yeah, there's no fish in this lake. They're too small. And I kept looking at them like, what do you mean? Like, any fish is food.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? And they're like, and Ryan was watching me catch fish every day going, it's not worth it. And I was going, what do you mean it's not worth it? It's food.
Yeah,
it's
it's
something.
food.
And it's something to do,
But
too.
you have to eat it that day.
Yeah.
There's
like-
no cooling or,
Yeah.
And-
wait for later.
And I don't remember, Megan, did she eat it?
Yeah, she ended up eating it.
Because I have a funny story. Can I tell a funny story?
Well, yeah, tell your funny story,
Go
but
ahead.
then what was the best moment of the show
The
or the time?
The most cohesive moment between my brothers and me was when we did the fire, that torch. They didn't tell me what we were doing. They told everyone else what the challenge was, what we were going to do. So I showed up not knowing what we were doing. And then right before, they said, okay, you're going to build a torch, and then you have to light the torch, take it to the pyre, and whoever gets there first wins. I did that so fast that they accused us of cheating. The other teams accused us and the producers of cheating, because I did it so quickly, because it was in a crate, and then that crate was in a net. And so I'm staring at the net going, okay, how am I going to get this open? And right when they started, I tried ripping it. It didn't work. The knots were like quadruple tied knots, so I knew that wasn't going to work. And so I just slipped it off real quick. And there was a pause in the live feed back at headquarters. So they saw us start. And then when it came back, I was already taking my crate to the next step. And so they're like, what just happened? Yeah, how do you do that? And then by the time the next couple teams got to the fire starting area to get their torch going, mine was lit and I was already leaving. And so I got to that pyre
Quick.
10 minutes before Woody did, probably. And so, yeah, like then the question was, okay, where did the feed go? Why didn't you show it? So he obviously got a head start, or so they started accusing us of cheating. It was perfect. My brothers built the perfect torch, and I just started it and gone. That was probably my favorite moment because it just showed how we were so good
In
together.
sync.
Yeah, so in sync.
Wow.
Yeah, and you could tell that on the show. You guys just kind of knew.
Yeah. They after the show said, we would listen to you talk. Before something would happen, you would figure out what was happening before it happened. And so they'd go,
He gets it.
He gets it. He knows what's about to happen, and then it would happen, and I wasn't surprised by it. And it's all because of what they were doing.
And growing up together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's kind of like a game. Like, I'll use this, have you ever played the game Code Names? Either of you?
Yeah.
No.
So if I'm on a team with someone that knows me, all of my clues, you know me. So we're going to get that clue quicker or better. Whereas someone stranger and I'm trying to give the clue, you're like, Tara, I have no
Yep.
idea.
No idea.
But you're in sync.
Yeah.
It's aligned. That's cool. Yeah, tell your funny story.
Well, I
Back to
don't
that.
want to offend any vegans out there.
Oh, you
or
can't.
vegetarian.
They try to offend us all the
But
time
like,
by
so
saying
that's
they're
the
vegan,
thing
so.
is they're vegan and we are meat lovers.
There was
and
somebody I might have
It's
been
okay.
married to at some point who had decided that they had watched a video and they showed him killing all these chickens, like I can't eat chickens anymore. And I'm like, but you'll eat fish? And she's like, yeah, because chickens are smarter than fish. And I was like, I go, so a chicken scratches in the dirt and just picks at whatever bug it can find. A salmon is hatched in a hatchery and then is in the ocean, and they go the exact river and the stream and they go right back to where they were hatched. And you're saying the chickens are the smart ones? I always thought that was kind of funny.
I haven't seen their IQ, so I wouldn't comment.
That's a tough test to know.
Yeah.
Which one's smarter, chicken or
but
salmon.
to anyone's point, there is a couple shows out there that mutilate or hurt animals, and I don't think that's gonna make me want to go eat a chicken afterwards. So maybe that's what she was thinking.
And that was just the tool that kind of helped her get over, like, I'm never eating a chicken again. And I, whether you agree with it or not, that's fine. But it was just the fact that it was the chicken was the smartest one out of the two. And I just had a hard time believing that.
Got it.
Okay, another one. Oh, she also loved your brothers. We won't get into that. But anyway.
I have a feeling I know what that one's about. They love the brothers. Austin has gotten so much, just Austin alone. Have you seen the picture? Austin there?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many messages and stuff.
He has lots of love letters
He's got
flying
a
out there.
lot of love
A lot
letters.
of love
Is he married?
crushes out
Is he
there.
married?
He's married, 4 kids. And the Abby thing, if you saw that, they were trying to make connections that him and Abby had something going on. Abby is a sweetheart. She's actually been to Boise like 3 times since the show.
Oh, wow.
We've all hung out and stuff. She's engaged. It's like, it's just the funniest thing. They're trying to bring that together. And it's like, he's married, got kids, she's engaged. So,
Right.
yeah.
You talked about mental resilience and maintaining positive mindset. Is there a specific moment during the show when that lesson was most evident?
I honestly,
Maybe from the beginning, it sounds like.
From the beginning, again, another strategic part of it. I didn't really think it was strategy. I just thought this should be normal, is walking out with a positive mindset, because no matter what they throw at you, and they're going to, if you don't have a positive mindset going into it, and then you try to adopt it after it's happened, it's too hard. It's really hard. All these bad things are happening to you, and then you have to pull yourself out of it. I was almost a different person going in there with nothing can be bad. This is the greatest experience of my life, and so I'm going to have as much fun as possible. I don't care how bad it gets. I'm just going to have fun, and no matter what hits me, I'm just going to enjoy it. And that's what I did. So every time I got an empty crate or something bad happened, okay, just on to the next thing.
It's kind of like what you said. I'll give it. You can label it. You gave it a 2-minute. This sucks. What's happening? Can't go to exile.
Yeah.
You gave it its space, but then you turned it, and then you're like, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
Like I do think my fan club question would be, how does this experience be used in your life for, raising kids and family and work? And I mean, these are like a 5-week experience that really could last a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And so how do you or will you use this experience to navigate life?
I can tell you it's so much harder being back in the world and keeping that, because you're not just getting hit with me by myself. I know what I can control and I know what I can handle. But when you throw in kids and family and friends and all these different things, finances, everything, work, all the things, it's really hard to compartmentalize it and just be positive all the time. There's so many more hits coming all the time from so many different directions. It is really hard to keep that mentality positive all the time. But it's just one of those, if you can keep, something bad could happen, but you're going to be positive, take the hits and keep moving forward with it, then you're already in the right state of mind to have bad things happen to you. So it's not easy. Like, life is not easy to deal with that stuff. But I think it just start with a positive mental attitude. And then
sometimes, I think what you're saying too is sometimes we can look at our empty crates and we could stay there.
Yeah.
Or where is that going to take us? It's going to just let us sit there and mope about we didn't get the peaches today or we didn't get the fire starter. And then the sun still goes down, the sun still goes up. And what are you going to do with the next day?
Yeah.
So
next day is
you're
still
still going to have that, whether it's a relationship or it's a financial or it's a, outside of your control, it's going to be there. So yeah, this has helped me too, like hearing you and reminding our listeners too, is that fixed versus a growth mindset is critical in life.
Yeah. You're either growing or you're dying. My dad always said that. You're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between. You can't stay stagnant.
I get knocked down and I get up again.
Yeah.
So many good songs.
Yeah. I think that you could see when people gave up.
Yeah.
That they were done. And it was like so I'm wondering for you, like, your wife and your kids at home, I think that when you're defeated, then you allow the wife and the kids at home to be a heavier burden, that you're missing them more than your attitude where you're like, I know my wife loves me. She's probably glad I'm gone for a couple weeks or whatever. And the kids will be happy when I come home. But it isn't that weight that you're carrying until you're defeated, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
They can be a liability when you're in that situation. Mentally, it's a liability to sit there and think about your family. And I only thought of my family when I was sleeping. So I dream about my family in the worst possible ways. The worst things were, I guess that would be like the second hardest thing, was that every night I had the worst possible nightmares about family. Wow. And it only came through in my dreams. If I sat there throughout the day, I wouldn't think about it. I was just, my task is what I'm thinking about. And then at night, I just wake up in cold sweats sometimes thinking about, having these dreams. So it was a liability, and I'd have to sit there and talk myself down like, it's fine, they're fine. But again, the strength of me being out there is that I have all the family back here.
Yeah, a brotherhood.
I've got all my brothers that weren't with me. They're here,
right.
My parents, her parents. And so I'm like, if anything goes wrong, they're going to get taken care of. Plus, my wife is more than capable. So I could calm myself down and go, we're good. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
But not everyone has that same.
Well, mentality.
Yeah.
It does hit you. Or if you're out there, I would imagine the 90-day people that are not functioning well.
Yeah.
That'd be, we're at a different level of mental awareness, mental health, emotions.
That's a mental strength that I don't know if I have. Because sitting out there on a loan for 90 days.
Can't imagine.
And especially the boredom. I got so bored sitting out there. I don't know how people do it for 3 months.
Yeah, I guess if they could supply you without birds.
I think there they allow
food.
it. They could go hunt. They could go do stuff.
But then you also get tired doing all that
stuff.
stuff.
You're exhausted.
So
I saw that guy trying to drink the water. He did drink a little bit every day. And there was some wisdom in how he monitored the water. I remember I didn't get to see if he made it, but I just remember them saying he said, I drink every day out of the lake, and then my body gets used to the microbials or whatever goes into your body, so that the next time you have it, it's not a shock. So he had to like build up to how much you drink. And I don't know if he made it, you guys. I just, like I said, I saw a couple of times, but
I wouldn't even think about doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some tips I heard. Maybe I should watch that before I try out for.
I did think about eating the raw steak though, but not slowly getting the water.
All of a sudden there's little maggots on it and you're like, it's been about 7 days. I guess I'll finish it.
So were you able to take personal effects at all? Like a picture or?
And I wouldn't have done it because that would have been a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that we really did. They said, clothes on your back. Here's a canteen water. You're out.
What about the brothers? Did they have communication with family?
No.
They were out.
Yeah. So when we arrived in Vancouver in the airport, there were people waiting for us and they took our phones. So we had no outside communication from the time we landed in Vancouver. Because they know there's tracking on phones and stuff, so they didn't want people knowing where we were.
Right.
But also they didn't want us talking.
Messing around, getting on Facebook, and hey guys,
exactly.
like kind of like your story of here's where I was gonna build a garage.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm just gonna call him Jake the Builder.
I got that, Bob the Builder.
Where did that video come from? Because I didn't see it on the show.
Where I was trying to see,
You're explaining.
You were taking us on a home tour.
Yeah.
He is a mortgage lender. Realtor, I would have bought your house.
Yeah.
I would have put a sign up there and said, this one is completely authentic and you won't find another one out there.
See, I made one mortgage joke and then I swore I'd never do it again. After I got done building my shelter, I said, back home, this would cost $400,000.
Yeah.
Like,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'll have it appraised. I don't know what the Canadian lot would take, but...
Yeah, that shelter took me 6 days to build, and then I put a door on it.
Yeah, I saw.
I had to make it like home as much as I could to feel comfortable. And
you said, I'm going to interrupt. This is the great part. I was going to build 2 stories. I'm like, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Have a little loft upstairs for you and the game day.
Me and the mice.
You got the planning and zoning issues to go through.
That's right.
So you ate. I think they showed you eating one grub, and you said it kind of tastes like bland pasta. They wanted to know how did the grubs taste?
Yeah, it tasted like go home, make ramen, just don't put any flavoring in it. That's what it tasted like.
Did you kill it
Did
first?
you eat? Did you eat them all?
Was it wiggly?
I boiled them. They were alive, and I just boiled them. The whole thing was...
What did I say, 5 days? 7 days? Okay, I can make it.
The thing was I didn't have to do that.
Oh, you didn't. You could have your fish.
But I thought it was a trial. So so when they did the whole white elephant thing, we didn't obviously know that. So I get a box of worms, and I'm staring at them like, okay, maybe I could use it for fishing.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
And I sat there, and I don't understand what this is. I don't get why I got this. I went to sit in my shelter for a second, and I started thinking, maybe this is the trial. Maybe the trial is to see who will eat these.
Oh, because everybody got the worms.
I thought they did.
Oh, you thought everybody got the presents.
Yeah,
okay.
so I thought maybe everyone got the same thing, and the trial was to see who would eat it without being prompted to. And so I was like, all right, let's see what happens. So I boiled them up. I ate them. I sat around and waited for maybe something to happen, and nothing happened. I realized I just ate these worms for no reason. So...
Or you could just think of ramen.
Yeah.
I just ate the ramen for no reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
He did other things for when that box was out in the middle of the lake, and everyone's looking at it, and then you just jump in. You're like, okay, let's go see what it is. And there's somebody who's like, there's no way you can get out there that far, you know. And then he goes and gets the box and takes it back, and he just did things because that's what he would.
Wait, did you get 2 pairs of clothes? Because what do you do when you're soaking wet?
Well, you have to be smart about it.
No. How do you do this? It's September in Canada. I went to Canada in November. It was freezing.
Yeah. You just, I mean, for me, if I was getting in the water, I was getting down to my underwear only because I knew those would dry really fast.
I got you. Okay. Yeah. So you're like, oh, I'm going to strip down.
Yeah.
Go in the bare minimum.
Yeah, bare
literally.
minimum, yeah.
Come back and at least I'll have a warm and I'll dry those out. Okay.
Yeah, and so we went with a packing list. So we had a certain amount of stuff that eventually we got all of our items.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, so we got all of our items eventually, but if I'm getting in the water, I'm doing the very minimum amount of clothing to get in and out, and just those things would dry so fast because I specifically got.
And this is Lucky Peak in September.
That's how. Well, I said it's Lucky Peak in June, so we're about to have it.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
still
you can
cold.
handle that. Yeah,
it's still cold, but it's refreshing.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I can handle it.
Yeah, that's how
I'm envisioning myself preparing for this. I'll never do it, but I'm like, could I? No way.
The polar bear
Maybe,
challenge,
no.
the old Larry Gebbert
But that
polar
one
bear
is
challenge.
January 1.
Yeah.
That's totally different.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
But I did those when I did girls camp. I always did the polar bear challenges just because. So I think I could do it.
Yeah. The mystery boxes, that was another highlight. I really liked that one because no one prompted us. We didn't know what it was. They just told us today is the day off. No trials, no nothing is happening. You're able to go hunting if you want. You're able to go fishing. You can explore the lake. You can do whatever.
You got a down day.
Yeah, but when they said explore the lake, wait a minute. We've never been able to explore the lake. We had to tell them if we were getting in the water, we had to tell someone.
Okay.
So we'd have to get on our mic and say, I'm getting in the water to take a bath.
So someone's going to watch to make sure you don't drown.
So when they said we could go.
You knew something.
It was like, okay, that's strange. They've never said that before. Yeah. And I was actually, for the first time, going, I might take a nap today. And I turned around, I looked at the lake, and I was like, oh, the sun's out. You know what? I'm going to go sit at the log at the lake because there's sun. I'm going to go sit in it. And that was the deciding factor that pushed me towards the lake. And as I'm walking down, I saw the mystery box, started thinking, they just put the rafts that we made back on our shores like 2 days before that without saying anything. They just were sitting there. And then they said we can explore the lake. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, it's a little bit too much of a coincidence for me not to look into this. And I don't really care necessarily about rules all the time. So I was thinking.
He really does, audience, but he also knows his safety limits.
Yeah. So I was thinking.
You're not going to be hurting.
Yeah. So I was thinking, okay, well, like they said it, so I'm going to go explore. So
You're following the rules.
I'm going to explore the lake. And next thing I know, I'm like paddling out there and I see Haley on her shoreline. She's scrambling because she sees me going for it. And Megan's fishing, and she's like, oh, I was just thinking about doing that. I was like, I don't think you were, because no one wants to get in the water.
Except for you.
Except for me.
You're
So
the fish.
I get out there. I'm just nice, easy paddling. I'm waiting for maybe a boat to show up and go, you can't come out here, turn around, go back. And no one did. So I get up there and pull that box off and get back to the shoreline. And we weren't supposed to go in other people's territories, but they allowed the other two to go in there. And so I was thinking,
by like on the mic, like go ahead and go see what's in the mystery box.
So they said something about like
There's no rules.
Haley's swimming up, and
Okay.
so she just pulled all the way up, and Megan, she comes crashing through into my territory, and I'm watching it happen. I'm going, here it is. They're manipulating the situation where the rules are you can't be in my area.
Now they want to see what's in your box.
And so now I'm going to have to tell these girls, no, this is mine. I'm not sharing it with you. And so I was preparing myself for the conversation to go, guys, I'm not going to share this with you. I've had 6 empty crates. I know you need it, but I got it. I'm going to have to tell you no. And then when we opened it and saw what it was, I couldn't share it anyways.
Don't tell us. Let people watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have to say no because I couldn't share it. So that mystery box was fun because we got accused of cheating on that too. They felt like I was prompted to go out and do it. And it was just me figuring out.
Did you say God did it? God prompted me.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
Really? Divine intervention.
It was just curiosity. I just.
Yeah.
put
Well, and
things
you were in
together.
tune to the words.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were thinking.
Yeah.
I like it.
The last question on our fan list. What did you use for bait when you were fishing?
So initially I got a supply crate that had a little bit of fishing gear in it. And Anthony, he was freaking out about how it came all jumbled. Mine did the same thing. It was whoever put this thing together had never been fishing because the line they gave us was the smallest line I had ever seen.
Oh, gosh.
It was so small that I had a hard time like even tying a
Tying.
hook on it because it was tiny.
No
and it
wonder
was
they
just-
only caught minnows and
Yeah.
little stuff.
So someone put together a really bad tackle box, but so that I couldn't even catch anything with that. And then later we did a fishing trial that they didn't show.
Okay.
And the fishing trial gave us there's like those hand reel. It's basically like it looks like you're holding. It's a hand grip, and it's got the line right here. And so you'd throw the line out and you'd turn it, and it'd unravel.
Oh,
and then
like the little round sphere that goes on the top of the rod?
Yeah. So kind of
Yeah.
like that. And then you'd have to hand reel
Okay.
it back in.
Okay.
So we all got the same stuff, and the tackle box was made by our people in headquarters. So Austin and Justin got me everything you could think of to see what I could do with it. Spinners, bobbers, all these things. I didn't catch anything until I tried worms, and then once I used worms, I just kept catching.
You just
fish.
go
So-
digging in the dirt.
Well, they gave me a whole bunch of worms.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Wait,
so-
not the ones you ate. The
No,
different
not-
ones.
Yeah, different
Okay.
ones, like night crawlers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You could cut those in half.
So yeah, I did. I was catching tons of fish off those.
See? I could do it, guys.
You could do it.
Cut the night crawlers in half. I guess you could suck their blood.
I think we're going to take you up to the mountains. We're going to take you up to
I could-
Loman.
Yeah. Take me to Loman.
Yeah, honestly, if
I
you
could do it.
if you could put all your electronics away and just do an entire weekend,
Oh my gosh, it just sounds so nice. Just stop right there.
I
Put
think
all your electronics away for a
I
week.
truly
I would do
believe,
it.
Yeah, I feel like people will pay to do an experience like that in the digital
Yeah.
age that we're in. To
Totally.
just completely get off the grid.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's almost therapy.
Yeah, it would be I would need water. I'd want to know that I had
Yeah.
a water source, and I'd want to
Yeah.
know I
Yeah.
could build a 2-story tent in a garage.
Do
So,
some glamping.
I'm
That was
building,
awesome.
I'm building a cabin, and I had this acre up past Loman,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go up there before I had anything, and I would just take a little tent, and it was just me. And I'll tell you, when the sun goes down at 9:00 at night, and I wasn't building a fire because I'm like, just me. I'm not making s'mores. I don't really like s'mores. I'll tell you, it's weird because it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And then when the neighbor said there was a mountain lion sleeping on their front porch one morning, I was like, Kevin needs something more.
Good
than
thing
a-
Kevin
yeah.
didn't have a fire.
Yeah.
So, and we've had bobcats watching from the edge of the property. We have elk and deer come through all the time, but that was the one I was like, yeah, we need something more. But I guess the original point I was trying to make was when the sun goes down and you're by yourself,
Yeah.
it's a different world.
Yep.
And I mean, I didn't call home and say I need somebody to come get me,
Sure.
but
Help.
Yeah.
right.
But-
Anybody out there?
Yeah, and that again is part of what people do not understand. Everyone's a quarterback or a couch quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, they're all sitting there going, "I would do this, I would do that,"
Right.
and then you put yourself in it, and you'll have retired cops or Army vets or something. They'll go out and quit in a day or two. It's
What do you think
because
that
it's-
is? Why?
I think I would imagine it's because they are arrogant.
Yeah, overcompensate for I can do it.
So they think that like I'm a cop, I'm really tough, and I can just go out and do it. I've seen the worst things. That's true. They probably have, but also, have you seen it in this environment? It's different. And so that's where like that was a thing because I slept with my hatchet in one hand and my knife in the other. And it was
How comfortable.
well, I know how comfortable, but it gave me comfort. So if I was just sleeping with no protection at all, I would have had a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
Because those things gave me comfort. Like fighting off a bear, that's not
I
easy.
think I need to
but-
practice that. I need to practice like the fight and flight thing because I don't know that even if they were in my hand, what would I do?
But imagine if
Go,
they
go, go,
weren't.
go, go, go.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's you drop someone into this environment, you never know how they're going to react to it.
Yeah,
So it's tough.
You
That's
probably
good.
shouldn't watch that movie, The Revenant.
No,
You
don't
probably
watch that.
you shouldn't watch that
I
movie.
don't usually watch scary shows. Is it scary? Because I wouldn't really watch it if it's scary.
It's based on a true story. I don't know how accurate the whole story in the movie is, but it's about a guy who's a guide back in the 1800s, and he gets attacked by a grizzly bear.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I'm probably
And
gonna
it
watch
is
it.
it is the most
It is brutal.
crazy thing to
Well,
watch.
so is jumping out of a tree and stabbing a boar and
that's-
taking the heart and being like da 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 da.
That's Rambo.
I don't think I could have watched that either.
So I'm curious as we kind of maybe wrap up here. So you said Abby has come here. So what
Yeah.
kind of friendships or was there any premiere you went to or?
Yeah.
what
How do you
other
stay in touch with
friendships?
all these people on my menu?
So it is funny. As a survivalist, I didn't get to know anybody. So
True.
So for me, they're basically strangers that I have something in common with.
Right.
Abby, it's just so strange that Justin and Austin met her in the Vancouver airport. They just happened to be going through customs, and someone walked up and said, "Are you guys doing the show too?" And that's where they started talking. So they started connecting with her. In the hotel for 13 days, Abby was my neighbor. And so her and I talked quite a bit. So we got to know her. And then all this is said and done. We love Abby. She is so much fun. She's such a good person. And so she's been up, like 3 times. And so we keep in contact with her and her fiance. He came to our Mother's Day thing. He was there in town, so he came to our Mother's Day kickball thing. And they're just good people.
I'm looking at this. So Abby was the daughter of the survivalist.
So Megan, she's the survivalist. Her
Okay.
dad.
Megan's
And then-
dad.
And
Okay.
then Abby is her best friend.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And so we've gotten really to know Abby very well.
'Kay.
Just because she was in headquarters with Justin and Austin.
And she's
Okay.
a Park City girl, right?
She's kind of a nomad. She's all over the place because
Okay.
she was in Park City. Then she's in medical school going to Reno. So they just have nothing tying them down. So they travel a lot.
Because it said she had been like a medic or something out in the Caribbean there was some crazy thing like that.
For how young she is, she's accomplished a lot of things. So she's ski guide. She's done, now she's getting into river raft guiding. She was like a boat captain or something, like she's done a ton of stuff. She's like 25, I think.
Yeah, she's not 30.
Yeah, no. So she's accomplished a lot.
And then don't tell us who won or anything like that. But so all of these people are all from the United States?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And they
Yeah.
all went to Canada.
Yeah, and we took that as a state versus state competition.
Oh.
So we were going in there going, we're Idaho, we're going to rep for Idaho. And so
right,
there's a
right.
lot of pride in
Go
how we-
Idaho.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. So a lot of southern states in there. That's why they didn't like the cold,
Oh.
because they're used to
Not
80
used to it.
degree rivers and things. And so for
But
us,
they can handle a hurricane or tornadoes and
Sure.
those things. Yeah.
yeah, we didn't have any of those in Canada, so
Or
it worked to my favor.
let's hope that we don't get those in Idaho.
Yeah, let's hope. But yeah, we there's a lot of good
Good
people.
crew.
A lot of good people. In headquarters, they all got to know each other, good friends and stuff. But for me, I just don't know anybody. I just didn't get the opportunity to talk to anybody.
Right.
So how many episodes? We know you're on season 1. How many more has there been since?
So they're actively casting for season 2 right
Okay.
now. So when people ask me how to do it, I'm like, I just got roped into it. My brother, he said, I need a team. We got 72 hours to put it together. All right, I'll do it. I thought it was a scam at first. So I didn't
Are
know it was
you
real.
thinking you would do any other shows, or is this kind of your one and done?
Yeah,
No, he's going to be on our podcast.
yeah.
He's on this show.
Well,
He's
I'll
going to
just do
keep
the
getting,
podcast.
You
be on
didn't know
podcasting.
you didn't know you had to stay here for 4 weeks.
I
in
didn't
this-
realize
in
the
this room.
contract I just signed was for a 3-year
That's
thing.
At the
it's
village.
a
Yeah.
come back and share.
Yeah. No, we've talked about it. Justin, he's a one and done. He doesn't want to do anything else again. Austin and we thought if we were ever to do a different show, reality show of any kind, we'd want to do one that's not a manipulation game. I've never seen The Amazing Race, but the concept of it
Yes.
sounds really cool.
I would do that one.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it sounds
Yes.
like you travel the world with
Yes.
your friend,
And you're in a competition to
Yeah.
get to place 1 or place 2.
Yeah, and by the end of it, even if you lose, you just traveled the world
Correct.
to do fun stuff. So it's like that in itself is the reward. So.
Is that still
Oh, yeah,
going?
It's still going.
I haven't watched it for years, but I would always think, who could I do this with? And it was back when you had to read maps. I'm
Yeah.
like, eek.
See, Austin, I just ride his coattails. I tell him to do all the work.
The
and
mapping?
I just, follow him.
You're like, dude, I got your back.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's the one that we've talked about. He wants to do Naked and Afraid. I'm like, buddy, I don't have that in me. I'm not going to do Naked and Afraid with you.
I don't know what that one is.
It's another survival show, but
Okay.
you are naked the whole time.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Except
With everybody else.
Well, there's a man and a woman, and you don't know them before you get on
Wait,
the
you're
show.
with I would be with a naked man the whole
Right.
time,
Yeah.
but I don't know him.
Correct.
And,
And those, I think they match people up that have different
Yeah,
personalities
yeah.
because they like that conflict. But so you can bring a couple things. And there was one guy who brought a roll of duct tape, and
Wow.
then he made her a bikini out of it, which is
nice.
Nice.
Wait, I thought the whole point was naked and afraid.
Well,
but she was like, "Please
Yeah.
give me that duct tape because I don't want you to be."
well, and if you find something, there was a
Mm.
couple that if they found like a pair of shorts on the beach, because there were different locations. One was like in the swamps of Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over the world.
Yeah.
But if you find something in nature, like somebody left, clothes washed up, you can wear them, or make a skirt out of straw or
That's
whatever.
I would learn how to use my fishing line, that really thin fishing line. We can make some shorts for that guy. Sure.
That's one of those shows that I don't think my wife would
Awkward.
be okay with.
Well, would you be okay with her doing
No,
it? I mean,
see,
let's
no.
be real.
No.
There's a
No.
guy from Pocatello.
Maybe if you were together with your significant
Sure.
other, then.
Me and my wife.
But then
would
I
kill
don't know
each
that
other,
I'd
though.
want to be on the TV.
Well,
Yeah.
they kind of
Hey.
like they blur it out.
Oh,
Play
sure.
your backside.
But someone's gonna be
they
watching.
Blur out some very small parts, but then it's like my kids. My son would disown me. He'd go find another family.
Yeah, I think that's a little tacky. I remember being in Hawaii and not realizing I was about ready to walk onto a nude beach, and there was some yoga instructor men, and I'm like, what on this planet?
Yeah,
And this wasn't good. This
Yeah.
wasn't a good yoga class.
See, and I don't know if naked men are ever a good thing. We're not a
No.
good-looking part of the species. So
No. There's a guy from.
I don't think we should comment on this. I think we need to go to a commercial break.
There's a guy from Pocatello, Eastern Idaho, Jeff, and he's become like a celebrity just from Naked and Afraid.
really,
He's been on their all-star team. He's the guy I think jumped in and killed like this eel, and then they cut the eel up and they smoked it.
whoa.
I mean, his name's Jeff. I haven't watched that show for a few
Yeah.
years.
I'm like
But he
picturing
was-
like a Native American with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's all like warrior fit.
And I don't
He gets
remember.
an eel
I don't remember
wrapped
where-
around him.
I don't remember where his episode first was, but he became like some of them. There's a lot of people who go to look for these shows,
Yeah.
and it's become like a
It's
form
like a
of
job,
income.
yeah. Yeah,
They don't get a job so that they can try to win and get some extra money.
I think they go for the fame of it because Jacobin, this is his second show. He was on what's that game show? It's like
He looks like a
Squid
golfer.
Games. He was on
Oh.
Squid Games. So yeah, there's been a few people that were on other shows too. So they kind of make it a thing, trying to either win the money but maybe fame and things.
Yeah.
This is so against anything that I've ever cared to do. It was just the survival part of it that was fun.
Right.
That's
So
all.
that's how I would
Have
do
you
it too.
have you had anybody approach you about like being a sponsor for a product or something? I could imagine that you would be great at that.
We're gonna be that people.
We'll help push them your way.
Yeah.
Jake, here's an empty cup of ice cream. You don't get any, but we do.
Yeah. Well, ice cream's right. That's more up my alley. I'd be all for that. Austin he's an influencer, so he does all that stuff online. He's all outdoor hunting. There's a local company called Cryptech. They're an outdoor.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah. And
They got all their
the owner,
ski warm gear, hunting
the
gear.
owner is such a cool guy. He gave us all of our gear free
Oh,
of charge.
wow, cool.
And he didn't even ask for anything. He just said, "You guys are doing a show. You're local. Here you go."
Wow.
Thousands. We're talking thousands of dollars of gear. And I think Austin works with those guys in,
Yeah.
in marketing and stuff. So it was awesome. Local company giving us free gear. And it was the best gear. It was the best.
I have a good shirt and a good, like, they're not ski pants. I guess they'd be like all purpose, but they're awesome.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost unfair because I was sitting there just absolutely warm, completely dry, and everyone else has like Walmart gear on and stuff, and I'm going, my whole get up was probably like $3,000 worth of gear. It was amazing. So
Why didn't they say that to the people? Like, if you got to bring your punch list of a pack list, you would think they'd say, make sure you have neoprene socks.
So-
Make sure you have.
and they did. So
Oh.
they gave us a list of stuff, but
Okay.
people were looking at it going, okay, I
What's
just
that?
I need a
Pair of
jacket.
socks.
Yeah, I need a
Okay.
pair of socks. Austin put together our entire list.
Okay.
Sent it over to Butch or over at Cryptech, and he just
Cryptech.
said,
Okay.
this is what we need. And he goes, yeah, we have all of that. Here you go. And just gave it to us. So it was awesome. It was great.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Good job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They're
Good for
people.
them. Yeah. Are they still down in Eagle?
They're downtown Boise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, any other thoughts or something about the show or?
Yeah. I mean, one thing is, don't ask me for survival advice. People come up to me and think I'm a professional. I'm like, guys, I am a YouTube warrior. That's all I did to prepare was just YouTubed it. It's not like I did anything special. It was just, I was calm. I stuck to my guns on being positive about everything. I kept trying and trying and trying. It worked, but I'm not a survivalist. If we switched out Justin or Austin to do my job, they would still be out there doing their thing because they're that good at it. But honestly, it was an opportunity that if you say no to it, you never would have been able to go out and do one of the coolest things you'd ever do. And so when Austin says, hey, I got an opportunity, you just say yes. And that's what happened. We just said yes, and it was the funnest thing we'd ever done.
Yeah. Sometimes those are the best. I did that with a family. Why did my brain just shut down? The Ogden family. Do you know
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
So I went on their first bike ride from Mount Bachelor to LA over 2 weeks.
Really?
And it was just like I couldn't not do it because I was like, when I was single and my kids are grown, and when would I have 2 weeks
Right.
just to go ride a bicycle down the coast of California?
But people say no to that because
Yeah.
they're just like, well, I got work, I got this,
Right.
I got that. I mean, I had all that stuff. I got 4 kids. I got a job. I had just enough PTO to do it. But I was like, sure, let's do this, and it worked out. And I mean, yeah, I could look back and go, I said no, and then we never went. It's like you just got to say yes sometimes. And
I think we should have a show about say yes because we've had all these like inspiring people. You have just, again, solidified why I think we need to do this. But there's so many things in life. And what just came to mind is I was really young and I had just started my first job as a high school administrator. I was vice principal. And it was right about Christmas time. My leading principal and his wife were, in their mid 60s, and they were going to be going for the first time with this other couple that they had been best friends, and they had just retired, the other couple. Everyone's getting ready to go to Mexico, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till the day that I get to retire and go to Mexico, go to all these travel, go do, because I would be we think we're going to be free at this time.
yeah,
And they were all planning it. I remember them all sitting in the office, and it must have been right around Thanksgiving time. So they're planning it for Christmas. And the couple, the wife, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And all of a sudden that was like right in front of me. I saw them get so excited, finally retire, finally go, finally do. And then the news hit. And she never, and her husband, they didn't get to go. And of course that ruined the plan. But it's not that. It's just sometimes we wait so long for the right timing
yeah.
that we miss everything in between. And so I think we should do a show on saying yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie?
Live
We're
your
talking
life.
movies a lot today.
Yeah.
Yes
Is there a
Man.
movie?
Yes, man. Jim
Yes,
Carrey.
Man.
No.
So
That's a great-
So
I'm
Jim
I'm so bad
Carrey.
at TV and movies, you guys.
That's
I need
not
to
a
get
bad
better.
thing.
Okay.
That's okay.
He,
Like I
So-
know Jim Carrey,
so he,
pet detective.
I think
Good one.
he has this breakup in a relationship, and he
Okay.
becomes depressed, and everybody's like, hey, let's go out, and he's like, no. So he says no to everything, and they take him to like a motivational speaker who I don't remember if they hit him on the forehead, but they're like, you're going to say yes to everything. So he can't say no to anything. So it's like, hey, do you want to go to rave tonight? He's like, yes.
Yeah.
And so that's what the whole movie's about, him not being able to say
You
no.
can play that trailer to that movie when we do that show.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you'd
Yeah.
love that movie though.
Okay.
It's
We
hilarious.
could have it playing right here in my office. I've got the TV. We'll have that in the background. We'll invite Jake back and Kim. Have your
Sure.
kids come, and we'll have a say yes show.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
The kids will be like, "Dad, can we have
Oh,
ice cream with
that
Tara?"
doesn't-
You'll
no.
say yes. Yes, you can.
Kids
Dad,
can't
can we
play
have
this
some
game.
more? Yes, yes, you can.
Yeah, kids aren't allowed to play that game because then all of a sudden we'd have to do everything they'd want. Oh,
Right.
It'd be a mess. But
They go to the airport and they're like, we're just going to go on the first flight out of this airport, and it's to Lincoln, Nebraska. And so they go to Lincoln, which I'm a Cornhusker fan, so that wasn't bad for me.
Hey, there's
but
a song called Omaha. Good song in there.
there's a song called Omaha.
Omaha. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
a
song
really
that
good
is.
could
song.
you sing that for us?
I know that's a
I probably could. Let me think of it a second.
that's a what's his name? The quarterback.
Oh, Peyton
Omaha.
Manning.
Peyton Manning. Omaha.
Yeah, it's a
Weird.
good song. I think it's sung by Need to Breathe, that band. It's a good one. I'll have to check. Someone's gonna go and find that and be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But I did drive through Omaha, and I purposely turned that song on. I remember driving cross country with my dad and my sister, and we went through Nebraska. And when we got to Omaha, I'm like, stop the car. Got to go find this song, and I found it. So
See, she thinks
Wow.
of a great song
Mm-hmm.
that reminds her, of all these nice things.
Yeah.
She said Omaha. We both thought Peyton Manning.
We did. We
That's
thought
just
oh
the
yeah,
difference.
well football, I'm good
we're,
with that.
We're just so low level.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
no,
all
you
about
guys, you
football.
guys are up here. We're all matched.
Omaha.
Just different.
Omaha.
We just have to communicate so that we know where we're matching. We all align. Just a matter of getting there.
And I think that's why I think I enjoy the show with her, is we have different perspectives.
Because I pay
Yeah.
you to say that.
No, we have totally different
I
perspectives.
enjoy the show with Tara. You have to say that. I'm right here.
Do I get paid for the contract, or is this just all
Yeah.
pro bono kind
You
of
get
We
stuff?
some-
made you sign right here. This piece of
There it
paper, Jake. I see your name on it.
3-year contract.
Well,
That's right. 4, Jake. I
4
heard
now.
4.
Okay.
Mhm.
we appreciate
you.
you taking some time
Yeah.
to come sit
We
down
loved
with
it.
us.
Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. Thanks for representing Idaho.
Thank you for saying that. That was very important to us. We
That's
just
awesome.
wanted people to say, guys from Idaho killed
Yep.
it. Yeah.
They did kill it. So
And
go
tell you-
watch the show
And
with
tell your
me.
brothers, that loved watching them, and they were awesome.
They were.
And we'll get Austin to come in. Austin, Earth to Austin. We'll be having you come here. Whether
We're-
it's after you get back from being out of the country or before.
Yeah, we might
You
have
were-
to get that on
you
the
were
calendar
volunteered.
for October or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for listening.
All right, tuning out. Cha cha cha.